he's live. He doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Welcome to today's 4 at 4 forum. My name is Gerhard Apfelthaler. I am the Dean of the School of Management at California Lutheran University. These are going to be the best 44 minutes of your day.
That's great.
And as the guest host of today's show, I take the privilege of showing you a brief video of what we do at Cal Lutheran School of Management.
I looked around at my other colleagues and I realized everybody had an MBA, and that's when I knew if I wanted to go any further in this company, I needed to further my education.
The Executive MBA at Cal Lutheran is really a chance to further your education, but in an atmosphere that's conducive to your worlds.
PR, marketing, statistics, metrics, analytics, all those things that I learned in the program, I'm able to apply.
It was just great to have faculty who have the real world experience, but also understand how to impart that knowledge to folks in a classroom. It's an accomplishment that you can share with your existing network to help you kind of advance to the next level.
It actually got me into an interview for a different position.
I got promoted to the director of programming and operations for the whole music department.
You're going to walk back into your job or into a new job and really kind of have a wider view of what the possibilities are. To me, that's the number one thing.
So thank you very much for listening. This is what I do in my day job when I'm not co-hosting or guest hosting a 4 at 4. I would like to introduce our fantastic panel for today. We have 3 guests from the world of the arts. We have Roya Alt, who is the director of the California Museum of Art in Thousand Oaks. We have Rachel Schmidt, who is the curator of collections and exhibitions at Cal Lutheran. And we have Natalia Staneva, who is the CEO of the New West Symphony. So, Roya, why don't you introduce yourself and the museum?
Thank you. Thank you, Gerhard. Thank you, everyone. I'm Roya Alt. I'm the new director of the California Museum of Art, Thousand Oaks, Amato. I have worked in the nonprofit sector for over 20 years. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and in fact, my very first job as a 13-year-old, I was a teacher's aide at the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles. And I remember how great it was to see all the kids make these wonderful connections to the exhibition or exhibitions through educational programs and participatory activities, which is something Amato does quite well. So we want every visitor who comes into the museum not to simply receive the artwork, but to engage with it and form a deep connection. So we do this through public programs and participatory installations. It's a wonderful place to work. I'm very happy to be the director and happy to be here today.
Thank you, Roya. We'll get back to you in a short while. Rachel. You're on mute, Rachel, I think.
Thanks so much, Gerhard. I was just saying it's really lovely to speak with you all today. My team and I manage 2 physical gallery spaces on the Thousand Oaks campus of Cal Lutheran University, the William Rowland Gallery of Fine Art and the Quan Phong Gallery of Art and Culture. We also care for the university's permanent collection. Under normal circumstances, we act as a Kunsthalle, which means that we bring in exhibitions that constantly rotate, about 5 per year per exhibition space. And a good portion of the art we display comes from outside of California, and we strive to bring in a variety of cultures and aesthetics and media, all forms. So you'll always see something different when you come into the space. Right now we have a few virtual exhibits that are up since our physical locations are closed. We have one on post-colonialism in Southern African nations with paintings and drawings called Maleko Magosi, Acts of Resistance, and another on destabilizing the gender binary with works that touch on the increased public attacks against Asians and Asian Americans during the pandemic. And that one is called Reorient Tin Nguyen. They're available on our website. And we also have a slew of on-demand lectures that you can view under our events tab.
Very cool. And I think we have a few images actually, right? Let's see if we can see them. I believe, here we go.
Okay, so this one is one of the lectures that we have. This is our Roland Gallery space, the physical exhibition space. If we can flip through, this one's the Quan Phong Gallery. This is our virtual exhibit, Maleko Magosi, Acts of Resistance. And last, this is the Reorient Tin Nguyen, available on the website.
It's a beautiful space and wonderful exhibitions. Now let's go to the performing arts. Natalia.
Hi, Gerhard. It's so nice to be here on this podcast. I've been with the New West Symphony now for over a decade. And during the COVID times, I couldn't bring you the orchestra, but I decided to bring you a clip from our last weekend as we recorded our first ever virtual concert for the season. And I wanted to thank Paul Piazza for putting this video together for us. So if we could roll that, that would give you the introduction of what we do.
Let's go see it.
Hi, I'm Natalia Staneva. I'm CEO of the New West Symphony, and I'm here with our music director, Michael Christie. Michael, what a day it has been.
What a weekend.
Today was supposed to be our season opening concert where we would have welcomed almost 3,000 people at Civic Arts Plaza and Rancho Campagna Performing Arts Center. However, today we actually shot our first ever virtual concert, Masterpiece Series concert, and it was called The Tour of Japan.
Huge mix of ensembles of varying sizes, from string quartet all the way to about 20 some odd people.
So it looks like the video is buffering.
Well, I could actually finish the video. It was while it's buffering. We welcomed Music of Japan. We're starting a season. Actually, this weekend we're gonna stream it, and we invited a koto player from San Diego, our guest artist Anna Kika Myers, violinist. We had quite a few interesting surprises. You'll have to watch the concert to see it. And one of them was we invited Makoto Taiko Ensemble from Pasadena to show us the tradition of Makoto. And we recorded those concerts at Reagan Presidential Library and in our local theater, Bank of America Performing Arts Center. So you're in for a treat if you watch it this weekend. So thank you.
Beautiful. And it's this Sunday, Natalia.
This Sunday.
Excellent. Let's go to our first round of questions with the panelists. You know, when we prepared this panel, I remembered a famous quote or a story that I heard once that's attributed to Winston Churchill, probably falsely. And the story is that when Churchill was asked to cut the funding for the arts in order to support the war effort in World War II, he responded, well, then what would we be fighting for? So along those lines, Roya, let me ask you, why is it that the arts are never considered essential during a pandemic or otherwise?
Thank you. I would love if someone could answer that for me. You know, artists and creative workers have been decimated by this pandemic. And there was a study released recently, and I think it's about 30% of museums may shutter permanently. And that's so counterintuitive when you think how essential art is. So like many of you, we at Samato were watching as the virus was, you know, gaining a foothold in Europe. And we were so inspired by seeing Italians under, you know, lockdown. So what did they do? They took to their balconies in different cities and they sang to their neighbors and they wrote poetry and they composed music. So it's almost primal when we, experience fear or when things are uncertain, we turn to the arts. But the reality too is that I think arts and culture are often under siege even when we're not in the midst of a global pandemic. So when there's a budget shortfall, we know what gets cut, immediately. So it's interesting you bring up Winston Churchill, Gerhard. So I want to read you an excerpt from a letter that was written during World War II. And Churchill had directed the National Gallery in London to put the permanent collection in some slate mines in Wales for their protection. And several years went by, and the public began to complain. And this is, I'll just read you a quick quote from a letter that was written to the London Times. And it says, because London's space is scarred and bruised these days, we need more than ever to see beautiful things. I would welcome the opportunity of seeing a few of the hundreds of the nation's masterpieces now stored in a safe place. Music lovers are not denied their Beethoven, but picture lovers are denied their Rembrandts at a time when such beauty is most potent for good. So that was 1942. So
Beautiful.
Art is essential. We prize it. Why is it not a funding priority?
Beautiful. Since you brought up Italy, Roya, do you see a difference between the United States and other parts of the world with regards to the essential nature of the arts?
No, I think, art is what is a universal language and connects all of us. And so you've seen museums and creative organizations globally respond, and they're putting up public art, and everybody's moving their content online because we recognize how vital those connections are and how connected we all are.
Right. So, Rachel, I want to ask you about the same topic of the essential nature of the arts. And you're, of course, in a unique situation as your galleries and collections are embedded in an institution of higher education, California Lutheran University. So what's your personal take on this?
I 100% agree with everything that Roya was saying. And I think that we've seen this in the past before the pandemic. I think it was one of the culture ministers under Berlusconi in Italy who said when they were contemplating whether or not to fund preserving Pompeii as a historical site, you can't eat art. So this is something that we always deal with. But I think that the pandemic set up this really interesting dichotomy, because on the one hand, we're seeing loss of jobs and cut funding throughout the whole museum industry. But on the other hand, we are seeing just how essential arts are for our lives, for our collective coping and healing. In the first month of the pandemic, I think Netflix stock was something like double compared to the year before in the same period. And they added almost 16 million new accounts just in April or through April. So, that says something. Being part of a university campus comes with really unique privileges. We're able to push the boundaries of contemporary art. We can bring in up and coming artists, conceptual work, installations, because we really don't have to rely on some of the big ticket names or repetitive movements that some of the larger institutions have to bring in, like having a Renoir exhibit every 2 years. So we have this academic freedom to experiment and really devote ourselves to innovation. And we also have this built-in network of scholarly hive mind that we can tap into, which makes communicating across the disciplines really easy and really wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, when the pandemic first hit, we were trying to recreate the feel of a physical exhibit in a virtual space, and that's just really not possible. So since then, we switched to other things like a variety of lectures, and we found that we have more people coming to that than our physical spaces.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll get to that in a later part of today, how your approach to showing what you have a little later. So, but let me now go to Natalia. Roya has already mentioned that you can listen to Beethoven no matter whether you're in a lockdown or not. What's your take from an orchestra's perspective?
Why we're essential? Well, orchestras are at the heart of any vibrant community, and we are economic drivers. So regional orchestras are icons and cultural ambassadors for our cities. And Gerhard, I wanted to tell you a story that this afternoon, just like any afternoon, including Saturday, there is an after-school music program called New West Symphony Harmony Project that is taking place in an underserved area in Ventura, where students receive free or reduced lunch. These kids normally would not have access to quality music education. And Gerhard, this is how we start every lesson with this mantra. We're musicians, we're artists, we're part of a team, we're held to high expectations, we're valued, we're important. When you hear 5-year-olds and high school students repeat that mantra, you get the chills. And I feel that any community that wants to attract capable, smart employees, they will invest in the arts, and they will attract very dynamic and intelligent and talented and diverse group of people. So we are essential.
Beautiful. I can't help but noticing that this reminds me a little bit of El Sistema in Venezuela. Was that part of the inspiration for your orchestra to go out into underserved communities?
Well, Harmony Project started in downtown Los Angeles before Gustavo Dudamel. We're an affiliate program, but yes, now El Sistema and Youth Orchestra Los Angeles and Harmony Project, we work in tandem, and it's the same business model, just like El Sistema. It's a youth development program using music as a means to raise children.
Beautiful. I wanted to remind everybody who is listening in this afternoon, please post any questions you may have in our comment section. And now we're in for a real treat. Our musical director, Paul Piazza, is going to introduce our musical artists for today, the Los Robles Children's Choir.
Thank you so much, Gerhard. We've got some absolutely wonderful young artists with us today. Dana Rouse is on the voice faculty at Cal Lutheran University, and she's the co-director of the Los Robles Children's Choir. Los Robles Children's Choir is among the oldest music education and performing arts organizations in the Conejo Valley, and they've brought some soloists to share some music with us today. Our first young musician today is Mia Brown, who will be singing a selection from The Greatest Show. Mia, take it away.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Run away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. You've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Hide away, they say, 'cause no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flag, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, whoa, 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 oh, oh. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are marching through the barricades and reaching for the stars. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we've become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, but we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand a flag, gonna come drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, go, 'cause here I come. Marching on to the beat of drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me.
Beautiful. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, but goosebumps. Really, wonderful job. So we are coming back to our panel with our second round of questions. And I'd like to talk a little bit about impact, how you have been impacted as a cultural organization by the current environment, but also the impact that you create for your community and society at large. And before I go into the first question, I want to cite a study that was actually done at Cal Lutheran about 12 years ago about the impact of the arts in our area. And what's just phenomenal is that even back then, 12 years ago, we saw that in the congressional districts 23 and 24, which is where we are located, there were about 11,000 employees employed by arts and cultural organizations, not even counting all the volunteers that give their time for free. And at the same time also, the total economic output impact in the same two districts was about $2 billion, and it had a positive tax impact of close to $200 million. So let that sink in for a moment. So Natalia, I want to get to you now and ask you about the impact that the pandemic has had on the arts and how you view your business model and now and in the future.
Well, I'm smiling and nodding because I don't know how much time we have, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what Roya started saying, that I feel like performing arts near the point of no return around the country, because nations, major orchestras, opera companies, they all announced cancellations for the entire season. So it's a bit heartbreaking. And I feel like even if vaccines or treatments become available, those of us performing indoors should take very expensive safety measures against the virus for months, if not years. Most challenging is also social distancing. How do you sell enough tickets to break even and pay for the performance using a reduced theater capacity, for example? So I read a study somewhere that before the virus struck, the performing arts and supporting industries accounted for $900 billion in economic activity, or about 4.5% of national GDP. So while the private sector advocates really have mobilized to save the performing arts, we do need an action, kind of a bigger action. There is also a study that I quote that every dollar spent on the arts tickets generates about $12 in the economic activity spending by restaurants, by flower shops, retailers, etc., gas stations. So just the impact for us, I think that I am super grateful to our board of directors because they're trailblazers. They let us live and they really took the time to reimagine our business model. We are able to employ some musicians, not all of them. And we created this docu-concerts, I call them documentary concerts. And we are presenting Global Sounds Local Cultures season. And we did not cancel the season. We reimagined it and we took it online. And my hope is that that distribution channel will stay with us post-COVID. So there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, I think. And I wanted to thank everyone who have supported us really through all of this. So thank you.
Let me ask you this, Natalia, are you even losing musicians who are going through a hard time right now?
Absolutely. I actually, one of the things that I love about our musicians, how adaptive they are. They all adapted to the current environment. They're teaching on Zoom. Some of them are changing professions. I feel sad that some of them went to Yale, Juilliard, top institutions in our country. And right now they're all trying to figure out how the next steps, how they're going to survive. And we hope that we are going to be a major solution.
So let's remember this, all of us, right? That if you give to the New West Symphony or other arts organizations, you're not supporting a building, right? You're not supporting the Civic Arts Plaza. You're supporting a musician whose livelihood and whose passion depend on the revenue that you generate. So let's move on to
Gerhard,
please.
I wanted to comment on your comment about the building. I actually last week I wanted to do a shout out to Jonathan Surratt and the city. We had the heat wave and we were supposed to record outside, and they made it possible for us to record at the Civic Arts Plaza, which was really heartwarming. And we also need the building. We need a place where we perform. So thank you.
Absolutely. Roya, let's go to museums. Are museums on the brink of extinction following COVID-19?
They better not be. Better not be. So museums, and I don't mean only art museums, history museums, botanic gardens, historic sites, they've always been there. I mean, think of generations of school kids who have taken field trips to museums. Or if you visit a new city for the first time, you want to check out its noted landmark, you're probably going to a museum on a rainy day, and you need something for your children to do, taking them to a museum. So museums will play, I mean, they're, as Rachel alluded to, so much part of the human condition, but they have a really vital role to play when we come back from all of this and look for happier times again. And I would just say, if you believe in the power of art for anyone who's tuning in, and what it can do for your community and how it edifies us, activate a membership, renew your membership, give a gift of to someone, a spouse, and show your support, throw your support behind. These are valuable community resources, and don't give it to Amazon. Give it to the community museum.
Right. So Cimado is located at the Oaks Mall in Thousand Oaks, which is quite a unique location. Now that retail is opening up again, what are Cimado's plan for the next couple of months?
We are hoping, we have two wonderful exhibitions, and you'll get to see some of the artwork as we wind this down. Defining Beauty is our third international juried art exhibition. It's a group show. We have artists from across the country giving us beautiful interpretations of what beauty and contemporary art is. And we are presenting Car Culture, which is the first museum exhibit by Jonathan Michael Castillo, is this wonderful emerging Latino photographer. We will be, hopefully, it's always fluid with COVID, but we anticipate opening in December to members, and then a gradual reopening. There's going to be wonderful family activities. We'll still do them virtually, but there's always something really incredible and exciting to see at Cimado. So we are just chomping at the bit to welcome people safely back.
That's very good news for all of us. So Rachel, we talked a lot about the economics of art organizations. I'd like to talk a little bit about impact of a different kind, right? I'd like to focus on the call for more diversity and inclusion across the board, but particularly also in nonprofit and arts organizations and movements like Black Lives Matter. How do these movements and societal tendencies reflect on your work?
The visual arts can be so accessible and malleable, especially now that we're in this time of memes and social media. So it's not surprising to see that the arts are part of larger societal change, because even throughout all of art history, it's been this way. If we look at artists who are using their craft to shape political opinion, like Goya, Diego Rivera, even Norman Rockwell, Faith Ringgold. If you think even about in Vietnam, the photographs that were coming out of the war, how that shaped the American response to it, how people felt back at home. And then when we're thinking about today, or like the day jobs of activists, one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter is Patrisse Cullors, who is an artist. Like that is her job. And the change that she's enacting is very real. She authored Measure R, which passed earlier this year in California, that curbs county jail abuses. So there's a real connection today between art and social justice practices. And we feel the same way in our gallery spaces, that art is a reflection of changing thoughts in society, but it can also be a contributor. So when we open the door, for instance, to displaying the African American experience, we're providing this opportunity for a dialogue. It's like using art as a tool that is connecting people, and it's breaking bread over a common language. And it's just one tiny way that we can subvert prejudices by bringing in more voices, by allowing these to be heard. And it also just makes it makes really good business sense, because our most visited physical exhibits were multicultural ones. And then the most viewed virtual lecture was the one that you saw earlier on Islamic art, which just garnered astronomical numbers after being posted just for a number of days.
Now, Roya, Natalia, would you like to weigh in a little bit on the topics of diversity and inclusion? Roya, Natalia, how do those topics, or maybe even movements like Black Lives Matter, how do they impact your work?
Roya, go ahead.
Okay. I think that scrutiny is good, and museums are having a reckoning. And so I think all of this, is positive. For Somato, we want art to be accessible, but we also look to expand horizons and expose people to, our tagline is really connecting people to ideas and each other. And often that can be, you present an artist who may not live in the United States or speak a different language, or they have a different socio-cultural situation from you. So we have a great awareness of that, and it informs how we approach putting together an exhibition and public programs.
Mm-hmm. Natalia, you want to weigh in?
I joined Roya in sort of exploration of this as well. When we hired our music director, Michael Christie, he brought diversity in terms of repertoire. And we took it a step further. So what can we do now today in our community? So we looked at the census of Ventura County, and we said, we want to get to know our neighbors better. So our entire season, Global Sounds, Local Cultures, is all about our community. And it's going to be a multicultural festival throughout the season. And I think that that's our contribution imminently. But we have to sit down with the board of directors and staff and musicians and really look at our values and core beliefs, I think, as well.
I think it's wonderful also that you're inviting that. It's almost like the community is curating, and that you're listening to what they want to see. That's so important.
I love it, that balance between global perspective and local responsiveness. It's a very powerful combination. So I would say we're going to take another break to listen to some musical talent. Paul, why don't you tell what you got for us next?
Thank you so much, Gerhard. We're going to take one step in the opposite direction, because I wanted to say I have the pleasure of working with the education department with the New West Symphony and have loved Natalia's insights that she shared with us today. We reloaded the sneak peek so we can see the full version, so we could see a little bit about what's coming up on the concert on Sunday. And we wanted to share it now before we get to some more music by the Los Robles Children's Choir.
Hi, I'm Natalia Staneva. I'm CEO of the New West Symphony, and I'm here with our music director, Michael Christie. Michael, what a day it has been.
What a weekend.
Today was supposed to be our season opening concert, where we would have welcomed almost 3,000 people in at Civic Arts Plaza and Rancho Campania Performing Arts Center. However, today we actually shot our first ever virtual concert, Masterpiece Series concert, and it was called The Tour of Japan.
Huge mix of ensembles of varying sizes, from string quartet all the way to about 20 some odd people on stage. We were thrilled to welcome the sounds of the koto, taiko drummers, harmonium, and the voice of a Hindustani soprano, all to make this context, this rich tapestry come to life. We are all connected as human beings, no matter the time, no matter the place, through music.
We're all looking forward to this weekend's concert, but right now we're also looking forward to some more music by the Los Robles Children's Choir. Our next young soloist is Sebastian Rodriguez, and he's going to be singing Proud Corazon from the movie Coco. Take it away, Sebastian.
Say that I'm crazy or call me a fool. But last night it seemed that I dreamed about you. When I opened my mouth, what came out was a song, and you knew every word, and we all sang along to a melody played by the strings of our souls, to a rhythm that rattled us down to the bone. Our love for each other will live on forever. In every beat of my proud corazon, our love for each other will live on forever. In every beat of my proud corazon. Ay, mi familia, oiga mi gente, canten a coro, let it be known. Our love for each other will live on forever. In every beat of my proud corazon. Ay, mi familia, oiga mi gente, canten a coro, let it be known. Our love for each other will live on forever. In every beat of my proud corazon.
Wow, amazing. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Dana, and also Mia. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear a lot more from you in the future. So before we get back to our panel, there was a question in the chat window directed to Natalia. Natalia, does the New West Symphony work with a chorale?
We do. We love all of our community choirs. We worked with CLU Choir. We worked with Los Robles Children's Choir. We worked with oh my God, why am I forgetting the Los Robles Chorale with Leslie Leighton. So we do present at least one choral concert every year. So thank you for the question.
And Cal Lutheran, I hope, right?
That's what I said, Cal Lutheran at the very beginning. Yes, we love Cal Lutheran Choir as well.
Perfect. So let's get back to our panel. Of course, the topic about business and the arts pre, during, and post the pandemic could fill hours and hours of content. We don't have that much time during a 4 at 4 forum. I would like to invite you just to share a few final thoughts with us. And maybe let's start with Rachel. What's the message that you would like to give our viewers today?
I think this is for viewers, but also for everyone who's working in the industry, that I know we're all hurting from loss of jobs and funding cuts, but I urge us to remember our missions and really commit to them that much more deeply. Remember that prior to the pandemic, more people visited American museums than attended all major sporting events, attended all theme parks combined. In fact, it's almost double the amount of people who visited museums. So remember that the arts are an expression of our society, that art shapes the way we see the world and how future generations are going to look back and see us. We're really just kind of custodians of our collective stories. And I hope that going forward, we're going to look back on this cultural moment and see that we were able to be more inclusive with voices and include more experiences going forward.
Wonderful. Great final message. Natalia, I believe you also have some images that you want to share with us, but I would like to invite you also to share your final thoughts with us for today's forum.
I love what Rachel said. There is the reason we work together quite often. So I wanted to say that New West Symphony will continue to serve our mission and fulfill our obligations, and we will continue striving for the best in this environment. And I wanted to show two pictures that they're my favorite from this last weekend. One of them is Reiko Abada, and this is Makoto Taiko from Pasadena-based drumming ensemble, Japanese ensemble. Look at the sunset, Reagan. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And the other one is Reiko Abada from San Diego on a koto player. It's just so unusual to see them within the orchestra. And I feel that you will be really pleased if you join us. And I wanted to thank our production team. We had to now kind of switch our business model a little bit, and we hired a production team called Damascus Road Productions, who helped us make a cinematic experience out of the live performance. So thank you.
And of course, we could look up great performances from around the world on YouTube, but I think it's kind of special, right? If you see that these performances have been put on by a local arts organization at a local venue, the vibe is completely different. And I think it makes us relate to it a lot better. So let's hope that these experiences will be so inspiring that all of you get all the support that you need in these difficult times. And Roya, your final thoughts, and I think you also have a few images to share with us.
I do. I just wanted to give one more shout out to, I don't know if I did it enough, to artists who are hurting right now. Encourage everybody to remember what their work does and how it makes you feel, but they are often the first people to step up. When we had the terrible bushfires in Australia last year, artists and entertainers banded together. They raised millions of dollars. They help our communities. When Samato had to close, it was so contrary and painful. We are trying to move as much content online as we can to give those experiences and that great sense of connection to our community. If you go to samato.org, you can view Life Interrupted. This is our online exhibition devoted to Generation Z artists. Young kids who are coming of age under a pandemic have a very interesting worldview. So you can look at their artistry. We also have, as I mentioned previously, 2 exhibitions, car culture.
Yeah, Gary, can you show us the images? Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. This is Life Interrupted. These are some incredible works from students at Oaks Christian. We also have a cohort of artists from One Spark Academy. We're going to be adding additional schools. That's Hannah Ryan. It's wonderful work. Sam Mindel, class of 2020 with the toilet paper. It's a little bit irreverent. And this is Jonathan Michael Castillo, Car Culture. Incredible work. And he has a wonderful technical way to get these shots. But this is our gift to the community.
Well, thank you so much. We are at the end of our 4 at 4 already. So let me thank the 3 of you for being here today, for doing the hard work of bringing arts and culture to our community, even before the pandemic, and doing an even harder job right now during the pandemic. Thanks to everybody who is supporting the arts. Business fills the dinner plate, but arts fill the soul. So thank you for being here today. with us. And before we go and say goodbye, we're once again bringing music director Paul Piazza, who is going to tell us a little bit about what the next few weeks will bring.
Thank you so much, Gerhard. Fantastic conversation today. Next week, we've got another amazing conversation, Pets and the Pandemic. This is going to be hosted by Nicholas D'Augusto, who has hosted for Forums before and been a frequent guest. And our musical guest next week is going to be soprano Audrey Yoder, singing a mix of musical theater and operatic works, and we can't wait to feature her on the show. And before we wrap up today, we've got a little bit more music, this time sung by the incomparable Dana Rouse. And but as we go forward with these shows, we want to hear suggestions from you. If you have a local musician or a local band that you want to see featured on the show, we would love to hear about it. You can find us and message us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/4at4forums. You can visit us at our website, www.peoplemedia.live, to send us messages and find out information for all of our upcoming shows. And as we say in the broadcasting business, that's a wrap. So we'll bring everybody back on for a final wave, and then we're going to hear some more music from Dana Rouse. Thank you all so much for being here, everybody. Dana, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Con la lunghezza